Hello everybody and welcome to the answer portion of the 70,000 subscriber question and answer video. That's right, a couple of days ago I had you guys send in questions to askmathis@gmail.com for those who had questions for me, and holy balls and tits did I get a whole bunch of questions, and I'm going to try and answer as many of them as I possibly can this particular vlog. I guess you could call it a vlog. In the background will actually just be gameplay of some game that I feel like playing at the moment, so you can kind of watch that if you want to listen and watch something at the same time, or you could just leave this running in the background if you want to know, or if you just want to listen to me talk. Anyway, if I missed your question, I apologize. There were a couple of questions that I ended up leaving out due to them being a rather personal or controversial nature, and I want to keep this as fun and as lighthearted as possible. And as I am answering these, more questions were still coming in. So if there are enough questions after this is done, maybe there'll be a second round of answering of questions for you guys if you sent one in a little bit late. So without further ado, let's get started. I did keep only the first name of everybody who asked a question, so for privacy matters, if you gave me your first and last name, I only used your first name. So let's get started. So Nikita wants to know, how did Carrie and I meet? Carrie and I met 4 years ago, and we met, I don't want to get too personal because I know Carrie doesn't like to let this out too much, but we met via an online dating website. The internet does work, ladies and gentlemen. And I remember our first date very, very well. We went out to a restaurant called Not Your Average Joe's. She had a really rough day at work, so it was a lot of her complaining about work that day, but I found her very, very cute and interesting, and she was very intelligent, and something about her just really drew me to her to the point where I was pretty head over heels for her early on in the relationship. In fact, I was the very first one to say, "I love you," and I didn't hear "I love you" back for like a month after, but that was years ago at this point, and that's how we met. Internet, man. The internet's a great place. Ben would like to know, first video game I remember playing. What is it? Well, it's quite simple. I remember playing, I think the very first video game I remember playing is Super Mario Brothers on the NES. I was 4 years old at the time when I got my hands on my very first controller. I remember playing that, and I remember playing something else. It was like California, maybe Beach Sports or something, with like this skateboarding and all kinds of like hacky sack and stuff. I remember playing that too. Those were the two big ones that I remember playing, and that wasn't even at my house. That was at my grandfather's house at the time, until I eventually got my own system at my house sometime in the same year. And that was the end, man. That was it. That was, my parents got me hooked on it really, really early and didn't really know what to expect from it because I was playing it so much. I'm sure they do not regret it anymore. Thank you for the question. Jason asks, if somebody has depression, what are some ways to stay positive? This is a difficult question to answer because I myself don't have depression, but I know a lot of people that do. If you know anything about my family, you know my mother does. And one of the things, you know, it's hard when you're having one of the bouts of depression where everything seems bleak and you're just in bed and you don't want to get up and it's almost impossible to really do anything. That's how depression wins. It prevents you from doing anything because it makes you feel like you're worthless. And if you're not taking a treatment for it, if you're not taking meds, if you're not going to see a therapist, then it's going to be harder for a lot of people. But outside of, I would say, get help, because that's going to help you stay happy. The best thing to do is remember there are people who care about you. Whether you believe it or not, whether the depression wants you to believe it or not, there are people who do care about you. And those people don't want to see you sad. And even though the world may seem bleak and worthless and pointless, it's not. The only reason it seems that way is because depression wants you to see it that way. And anything else is just a lie. Don't let depression win. Fight it off. Realize that there are good things in life, and though it's going to be tough, get help. It is a lot more to it, and I would highly suggest you go watch my depression video, me talking a little bit more in depth about depression. I posted it about last month. I would check it out. I talk a little bit more about my personal experiences with it and how I dealt with it. Darko has a few questions. Darko asks, what are my future YouTube plans? Will I play Skyrim and Mount & Blade Warband with mods, and how old am I? We'll do the first, easiest one first. I'm 28 years old. I'm an old motherfucker. Will I play Skyrim or Mount & Blade Warband with mods? Well, I'm already playing Mount & Blade Warband with one mod. It's the Florist mod pack, but I highly doubt, outside of when that series is finished, that I'll play it again. And Skyrim, I don't think I'll be playing at all on camera. I played a ton of it when it first came out. I burned myself out on it. And after I really dug my teeth deep into that game, I realized it wasn't as deep as I wish it had been. Of course, modding does make it a lot more viable of an option, but I don't think I'll ever really touch the game again. And what are my future YouTube plans? I have a lot of plans. That's the thing with YouTubing. You always need to have something going in your mind. You always have to have something planned for the future. I have usually like 5 or 6 series running around in my mind at any given time. Thing is, I don't like to give it away because it could change. If I promise one thing and then it never happens, people get mad. I mean, there are people mad who... there are already mad people who are upset that I kind of drop series after a few episodes just because it's not working or whatever. So I don't give away my future YouTube plans. Other than I plan on continuing to do YouTube as long as I possibly can. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink here. Pardon me. I will probably take breaks here and there just to take a sip of my drink. Bear with me. Wessel wants to know, what's my favorite Pokemon? Well, I have to say Bulbasaur, because it is the very first Pokemon I ever got on Pokemon Blue, which was the very first Pokemon game I ever played when I was young, and he was the guy that I was addicted to. I was drawn to that particular Pokemon, and I had, you know, the Pokemon cards too, and I remember getting the holographic, you know, the holographic version of his third evolution, which is escaping my mind. It's not Ivysaur. It's Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur. That's what it is. Venusaur. I liked Bulbasaur a lot. I liked his transformations a lot too. I don't know why. I just did. Don't hate me. Oreo would like to know, do I have any unusual habits or pet peeves? Unusual habits? I bite my nails when I get stressed out, or I get really anxious, or anything really. I'll be chewing on my nails if I get nervous. That's probably my worst habit. I chew on a lot of nails. Do I have any pet peeves? I'm going to be straight with you. Not really. It's very, very difficult to get me to annoy me. I guess bad comments on YouTube videos and backseat gaming is probably my biggest pet peeve. Outside of that, though, I mean, it takes a lot to get on my nerves. It really, really does. So I would say outside of that, nothing that comes to mind. But thank you for the questions. Lisa wants to know, what was my dream job growing up and what were my favorite school subjects? Well, Lisa, my dream job when I was very little, I will always remember saying, and my mom will always tell me, I said this too, is I wanted to be a tap dancer, airplane pilot, and a doctor. So I always had this weird image of me in a doctor's outfit, flying a plane, and having to perform surgery on one of the passengers all at the same time. So I was tap dancing and performing surgery and driving a plane. I wanted to be all those things when I was very little. But as I grew older and I became, you know, a little bit more realistic, and I do mean only a little more realistic, and I realized that my favorite subjects in school were always history, I very quickly wanted to become an archaeologist. And an archaeologist was something I maintained through, I'd probably say, me being around 10 years old to 15, so within 5 or 6 years, I probably maintained that dream. That dream obviously escaped me. I was very, very romanticized. I think I romanticized the job a lot, and once I realized that maybe it wasn't for me, I started aiming my sights a little bit more, I guess, realistic. But history was always my best and favorite subject through almost every year of school. Something about history, and particularly American history, because I just feel like my country, for some reason or another, I was very drawn to the weird things that happened in my country to create our independence and kind of formed us as a nation. That was always one of my favorite subjects, and I just loved reading about it. Joseph wants to know, do I or will I ever do fan streams? Well, I do. They're very rare. They're usually special occasions. I did one last month for charity. It was a fan stream. It was 12 hours long. People played with us. It was really, really fun. But I don't do it often. In fact, my whole streaming focus has kind of become unfocused, and we'll talk about that another time. But I do fan streams. They're usually for special occasions, and I will continue to do them for special occasions. Nostalgia, which is an awesome name. I don't think it's their real name, because I think their full name was in the email Nostalgia Lane. But Nostalgia wants to know, will I ever play Zomboid with other YouTubers? I'd say it's safe to say yes, I will eventually, but I'll leave it at that. Matt would like to know, what's our next EU4 series? What's up with the stream schedule shuffle, and why do I play survival games so much? We'll go through the first two. They're pretty simple. Next EU4 series is unknown. We're actually fielding that and thinking about that right now. We talked about that last time we played, so I don't know yet. What's up with my stream schedule shuffle? again, it's I think it's a subject for another blog, and maybe I'll tackle this tomorrow for my Friday wrap. But YouTube is a bigger focus for me than streaming, and YouTube takes up a lot of time as it is. And if I was to do my schedule like I keep setting for myself on Twitch, I would have no time to spend with Carrie or friends or do real life stuff. And I need to make sure there is time away from my PC when I have the ability to do so. So that's what that. Why survival games, though? Why do I play survival games so much? Well, survival games, in my opinion, are one of the easiest and best ways to play a game that's watchable. A lot of the reasons I play the games I play on my channel is because they are watchable games, for one reason or another. And emergent storytelling is a really easy hook for viewers. If you're watching a game that you can play at the same time and have a 180% different experience than I am having, why would I not introduce you to that game? Because I want you guys to pick up and play the games I'm playing. At the same time, I also want you to watch me play. So if I'm playing something like Project Zomboid, for instance, where everything I do is going to be unique to my game, and if you play along with me, if you even imitate my actions on your video, you can still have a very different game than I do. That's a lot of the fun for me. And in a way, I'm telling a story as I play these games. One of the biggest and most fun things for me when I watch YouTubers is to watch the story emerge as they play. In survival games, again, being the emergent storytelling sandbox that they are, really are a good focus and a good funnel for that kind of entertainment. And that's kind of why I focus on them. So thank you for that question, Matt. It's a really good question. I'm sure a lot of people wonder it. Cathal, I hope I'm not butchering names, by the way. Cathal says, what's my favorite game and favorite game series that I've done? I can't say favorite game. That's the thing about being a YouTuber and just me in general. I'm very ADHD when it comes to video games. I like to play all kinds of different games. I have favorite games within certain genres, I'd say. But that's... it's hard to answer that question. I always have a hard time saying what's my favorite game because it's just impossible to answer. But my favorite series that I've done on my channel, there are so many series that I look back on and say, I utterly adored doing that. Project Zomboid is obviously going to be up there because I have probably like 200 or 300 episodes of Project Zomboid all told. But other than that, I will always remember very fondly Cart Life. Cart Life was a series that I loved. Papers, Please was another good one. Always Sometimes Monsters was really good. All the ones that are just so touching to me are the ones that stick out. And I'd say those three are probably some of my favorite ones so far. But I'd say, I don't think there's a series that I've done that I've hated, though. Now that I think about it. I don't think there's a series that I utterly hated, so I guess we'll go with that. Thanks for that question. Yeah, we'll go with that. Thanks for that question, Cathal. Rex wants to know, what are my thoughts on Microsoft acquiring Mojang and subsequently, of course, Minecraft? I don't have big thoughts on this because I'm not a huge Minecraft player. I really was hooked on Minecraft in its early days, and then I kind of petered away from it for a while. Maybe one day I'll go back to it because I do get the itch to play it every so often. But I think it could go basically one of two ways. Microsoft could be smart and really push Minecraft as a brand and create all kinds of cool like DLC stuff for it, or really put a huge development team behind it and expand its current features, and then maybe we'll have like more toys and more movies and all that stuff. Basically go the way Lego went with their franchise, with their games and movies and everything. Or they could go the other way where they basically kill the franchise by gating everything off with microtransactions and making Minecraft 2 and all this other garbage. I don't know what Microsoft is going to do. I'd like to think they're smart enough to not go that second way and they want to make money, so they'll go the first route, but I don't know. I don't know. It's if you're a die-hard Minecraft fan, I can see why you might be a little cautious with the acquisition. But at the same time, I'd say don't be a total hater because you don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see. We shall see. John wants to know, what's the name of my cat? Now, I have 3 cats. Presumably, the cat you're wondering about is the one that's always in my vlogs. She's currently in her tree, as she always is, and that's Maya. Maya is adorable. But I have 2 other cats. One is named Munchkin, and one is named Mr. Man, because he's a badass. Melissa would like to know, what is my best restaurant memory since I worked in the restaurant for 12 years? This is a question I don't get a lot because a lot of the more, I guess, the more obvious memories, the ones that stick out the most, are always the bad ones, because the bad memories in a restaurant are the ones where the guests were basically just stuff of nightmares. They're utter awful people. But best memories don't stick out that much. I guess I would say there are quite a few good things that did happen to me in there. And as long as I was working in a good restaurant, good happened more often than bad. And I guess the Cheesecake Factory was probably the best restaurant I worked in. And my best memories of the Cheesecake Factory were my coworkers. My coworkers in the Cheesecake Factory were, bar none, some of the best people I have ever worked with. And I adored almost all of them. There are, of course, a couple that were just either too lazy or too annoying or didn't pull their weight or were just assholes. But they were few and far between. My coworkers were amazing people. I loved working with them. I loved talking with them, and I loved hanging out with them when I had the opportunity to. But as far as guest experiences go, anytime a guest was joking with me, treated me like a person, didn't treat me like some machine that brought them their food, were just genuinely good people, and when I was taking care of them, it didn't feel like work, it just felt friendly. That is probably the best memories I've had working in a restaurant. And those are the people that I'm telling you right now, if you want your server to remember you, if you want your server to adore you and give you the best service you have ever received in your entire life, treat them like a person. Because I guarantee you, once you start joking with them and smiling with them and you know, treating them as they are, a human being, they are going to want to serve you. They're going to want to come to your table. They're going to want to talk to you if you're a talkative person. They're going to want to make sure your food is out on time. They're going to make sure that if you get dessert, it comes out before anybody else's. They're going to be on your table and taking care of you more than any other table that they may have at that moment. And it might not even be a conscious decision. A lot of it for me, when a table was nice to me, was I just wanted them to be happy. I wanted them to be having a good time in the restaurant because they were so friendly. Where if you're unfriendly or you're distant or you're just an asshole, I don't care if you're having a good time. I just want to get you out of there, get your money, and get another table sat down and hope that they're better than you are. So if you're one of those people who go into restaurants and treat waiters and waitresses just like garbage, please, we're people, man. We're people. And I will always say we, even though I'm not a waiter anymore. I did it for 12 years. We are people. Enjoy our time and our company, because we are working very, very hard. And we have, you know, you never know. You could come in and sit down. And a lot of this happened a lot of the time. You could be my, you know, 22nd table of the day or whatever. I could have been on my feet for 10 hours straight. And then you start being an asshole to me. You really just ruin somebody's day. So just be nice. Just be nice. Treat us like people, and I guarantee you, you're going to get amazing service. And those were my best memories. We're just having people that were smiling and laughing. And kids, I loved having kids at my table and playing with the kids and, you know, joking with the kids or drawing with the kids or talking to the kids. If your kids are well behaved and they are friendly as well, that was my favorite table, with just families that were awesome. I loved it. Thank you for that question. Bringing back good memories, Melissa. I like it. Thank you for that. Dan Giesling, you piece of crap, asks, what's my favorite American Eagle t-shirt? See, I can't answer that question, Dan, because I love them all. I do. If you guys don't know who Dan Giesling is, go to youtube.com/Dan Giesling. He's a good friend of mine. He's a YouTuber, and you may or may not know him from a TV show called Big Brother. He is a good dude. Go check out his stuff. He does gaming videos as well. These next couple of questions I've combined between Harrison and Ulan, or Ulan, I think it's Ulan, I apologize, but they ask very similar questions, so I kind of just combined their questions. What genre is EU for, and what's my favorite game in that genre? Europa Universalis 4 is in the grand strategy genre. And my favorite game in that genre has to be either CK2 or EU4. It really does. I love other things. I'd say Civ 5 is in that grand strategy genre, and I really like Civ 5 as well. We'll see how Beyond Earth is going to go. But right now, because I've played so much EU4 and so much CK2, and there's so much to those games, it's hard for me to say that those are not my favorite within the genre. Charlie wants to know, who is my favorite between Northern Lion, Arumba, and Quill? I love them all equally, man. I love them all equally. They just gotta. It's like a mother with her children. You just love them differently. You don't love one more than the other. You just love them in different ways. I love Aruma for being an evil bastard. I love Northern Lion for basically having the mind of a 5-year-old. I love Quill for being the only sane one, probably among the three. I love it. Johan, he asks. I love that name, by the way. Johan is such a cool name. He asks, will I play Mount & Blade Warband 2 or Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord or whatever it's going to be called? Chances are yes. I definitely got into the Mount & Blade series way late in the game, and I regret doing it. But I'm happy I found it now. And I do believe Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord is going to be awesome. But it's so early in development, I can't really say. I will play it, though. For good or bad, I will play it and then tell you how much I like it. Chris, he says, or asks rather, what's my favorite game franchise and my favorite game within that franchise? Again, it's a really tough one. I would have to say, for the sake of recent stuff, we'll go recent, is Mass Effect's probably one of my favorite game franchises, but my favorite one within that one is Mass Effect 2. And that's going to be a little bit controversial because, in my opinion, I think Mass Effect 2 was probably the weakest of the three. But the reason I played Mass Effect 2 so much at the time is because it had so much promise. It promised so many things with the third game, and they were all under-delivered. And granted, all told, the story in Mass Effect 2 didn't do anything, and it was a story that kind of just didn't go anywhere. It was very much a filler episode of like an anime in some way. But I played that game like 6 times, and I loved it every time because as I played it, I always thought about my choices are going to mean so much in the game 3. I'm going to have such a different game than all my friends. Unfortunately, that was not the case. But I did like it a lot. Other games that I really like is Civilization. I really love the Civ franchise. Civ 4 is probably the best one out of all of them, though I still really like Civ 5. I mean, I could go on for a long time, so I'm going to cut it here. Let's see. What's the next question? Another combined questions from Chase and Benjamin. They both ask, will I play Civilization Beyond Earth, and what game am I most looking forward to this year? I will definitely be playing Civ Beyond Earth. I cannot wait to play that game. And the game I'm looking forward to most this year, that's tough. There's a few AAA games that I'm looking forward to, but I think Alien Isolation is probably one of the ones I'm most excited about. Mainly because we haven't had a good Alien game in X number of years. It's been forever. I really like the Alien lore for the most part. I loved Alien 1, Alien 2, let's just put it that way. And I'm hoping that Alien Isolation is really going to tell a good story as well as being frightening. Because the thing about an alien is that it's hunting you, it's smarter than you, it's stronger, it's faster than you are. And that being hunted by one should be terrifying. And I'm hoping Alien Isolation captures that perfectly. We'll see, though. I'd say that's one I'm most looking forward to right now. Reuni asks, can I have your Zelda poster? No. I will tell you where I got it, though. Newberry Comics. So if you go to Newberry Comics, you might be able to find it here. It was at my Newberry Comics. It was like $9 or $10 or whatever. I love that poster. It's just beautiful art. I'm going to take a sip real quick of my drink. Yeah, Newberry Comics is where you'll find it. I loved it. Maybe you could get it online at their website if they don't have it at your local store. If you have a Newberry Comics where you live. I don't even know where you're from. But you could check it out there. Richard asks, is Quill permanent? Quill is a permanent fixture to the Unholy Trio. We are now an Unholy Quadro. That's a word, right? Right. Sean asks, what's my favorite YouTube channel? That's hard to answer. Unlike a lot of Let's Players that I know nowadays who don't watch Let's Plays, I still do. I still actively watch them when I have time. I have a few go-to people, but we'll talk. Okay, so I have a guilty pleasure. I really enjoy Game Grumps. I know that's a very split thing, and people are like, I hate the Game Grumps or I love the Game Grumps. I like it for the reason that they're great background noise. I don't really watch the games they're playing as much as I use them for background jokes and just friendly commentary because they remind me of my friends in a lot of ways. So I like to have them on the background while I'm doing my editing and rendering and all that stuff. I love Jeremy Johns. His movie reviews are awesome. He's equal parts entertaining and informative, and I think he strikes an amazingly good balance. It doesn't hurt that him and I have pretty similar tastes in movies. I really love Jeremy Johns a lot, And every once in a while, I'll put on The Binding of Isaac with Northern Lion if I'm feeling desperate for content to watch. All right, Jesse asks, what's the scariest thing that has ever happened to me? I mean, I guess I'd say the scariest thing that's ever happened to me is what I talked about prior. I mean, I'm not going to go into great detail. I do talk about it in my depression video, but almost losing my mom, both mentally and physically, to depression, to bipolar, was probably the scariest few years of my life and put me in a bad place in a lot of ways as well. I was a lot more introverted. I didn't really leave my house. I didn't go out. I didn't really talk or hang out with friends. I was just a very sad guy because I needed to take care of my mom, and my mom, I was losing her in a lot of ways. And that was probably the scariest thing in the world, because you grow up knowing this woman for years upon years, knowing who your mom is from the moment you're born to being, you know, for me, 21, 22 years old, maybe even 20. And then eventually, you know, she starts to, I don't want to say lose it, but, you know, her demons come back in a lot of ways. And this sickness, this terrible, terrible disease starts taking her over, and you don't know what's happening, and you've never dealt with it before. That's just scary. It's a very, very scary situation to be in. I say that's probably my scariest moment of my life. But again, if you want more details about that, you can go check out my, what do you call it? My depression video that I did about a month ago. Thank you for that question, though, Jesse. It's I hope it helps a lot of people knowing and understanding and knowing to go watch that video. So, how much is my computer worth? Asks Daniel. I don't know. I'd say probably almost $1,000. Almost, not quite. My video card itself was what, $400, $500 when I recently picked it up last month or so. It might be worth less than that now. It might be worth like, yeah, it might be worth like $700, maybe $600. I have an old motherboard, an old processor. I need a new PC in general. Hopefully, I'll be picking one up sooner rather than later. It looks like I might be buying one. Hopefully, come November, we'll see. But that's it's just an older machine, so probably $600 or $700, and it still runs everything pretty damn well, which is more than I could say for my other PC that I used to have back in the day. Let's see. How do I manage the cat hair in the summer, and what's my audio mic setup? Chris wants to know. Cat hair in the summer with long-haired cats means lots and lots and lots of brushing and lots and lots and lots of vacuuming. What's my audio and mic setup? Well, I use Audacity to record my vocals, and I have a Samson C01U studio condenser mic. That's what I use. I have a pop filter in front of it, and if you're talking game audio as well, I use Fraps to record my game audio while I'm recording the game. Pretty simple stuff. BR54JR asks, will I ever do any AAA games, and will I ever return to any of my older series? And he lists a few examples. Will I ever do AAA games? This is something that I'm going to be talking about in maybe tomorrow, the Friday wrap. We'll see. One of the big things I'm doing as I grow, as I get bigger, and as I look at the numbers for series that I'm doing like The Sims 4, expanding into AAA games is something that I've always wanted to do. And I think I'm going to be doing. It's scary to do AAA games because they can be very oversaturated in a lot of ways. But there are a few games that I'm really looking forward to. I think Alien Isolation is going to be a game I do a series on because I'm so excited for that game. And I might be doing Shadows of Mordor as a series if the game is good. But expanding into the AAA genre is something that I've always wanted to do, and my first kind of, dipping my big toe into it with The Sims 4 shows that there is a huge audience for AAA games, even if I do mostly indie games. In fact, The Sims 4 is probably my second most popular series on my channel right now. It's actually kind of amazing to see what's doing really well. But yeah, I think AAA games is definitely something I'll do. And if I'll ever return to older series, I will say there is always potential to return to older series if I get the itch to play it, and if I think it will make a fun series to play again. I mean, look at Prison Architect. I played that game 2 or 3 times, over the course of a year or two, and I don't expect that I would expect that I would go back and play older games eventually. So for sure. Thank you for that question, sir. It's good to see your name on the boards. I do recognize you. Zed says, would I recommend starting YouTube as a hobby? I'd say yes. I mean, as long as you're going into it with saying, this looks fun. Let's do it as a hobby. Why not? Why would you not? That's a really, I don't want to say silly. It's a weird question to ask because I feel like there's an underlying, do you think I could do this as a living kind of question? Because if you're actually just looking to do it as a hobby, nothing is stopping you. Just do it, man. And if you make a few videos and you're like, oh my God, this is so much fun, then keep doing it. It's a hobby. Who cares if you have one person watching you or a million people watching you? If it's a hobby, it's there to take up your time, your free time, and have fun with it. If you're asking, or if you're making videos rather, and you're like, oh, this isn't for me, then who cares? Then don't do it anymore. You tried it. It's not for you, and you move on. But if there's the underlying, do you think I should do this, and you think I could get famous or big off doing it, then that's a whole other question, and it's a whole other answer. And the short answer is, if you're doing it to get famous, quit now, because chances are it's not going to happen. But we'll talk about that with another question, because there is somebody who asks a bit more detail on getting started. So Bradley wants me to tell us about your cats. Well, I'll tell you all about my cats. Maya's not actually mine. Well, she's mine now, I guess. But Maya was Carrie's cat, not my cat. And she is an adorable little princess that Carrie adopted when she was 1.5 years old or 2 years old from a shelter. Somebody had brought her back because they didn't want her anymore, so Carrie took her home. And the little Maya princess has been part of the family ever since. Munchkin was somebody. She's our black and white cat. I don't know if I've ever shown her in a video before. But was somebody, when I worked at Dunkin' Donuts many years ago, somebody had picked her off the street, and she was flea-ridden, and she couldn't keep the cat anymore, so I took her in. We, took off all her fleas and took good care of her, got her all her shots and everything, and she became part of the family. And Mr. Man, Oliver is his legal name. We call him Man, is a cat that was found and brought to Carrie's Animal Hospital when she was in school for being a vet. And I had just lost my cat. He was like my best friend. He was 16 years old. God, he was just the best cat in the world. And it had been a while, and I was looking into maybe getting another cat. And Carrie's like, "Well, come look at this guy." And he was this little ragamuffin. He was so tiny, and his fur was sticking up everywhere. It's a long-haired kitten who hasn't quite got all of his long hair yet. He was really silly looking, and he was in his cage. He was backed into the corner. He was growling at me and stuff. And I looked at Carrie, and I'm like, "Really? This is the cat you want me to get?" He's like, "Mean." She's like, "No, just pick him up." And I reach in, he's like growling and hissing at me. But the minute, and I do mean the minute, I pick him up and I bring him to me, his eyes close and he starts to purr, and he just relaxes in my arms, and that was it. I took him home after that. He was so comfortable in my arms. He was growling and hissing one second and then purring and closing his eyes the next. And he's still, I don't know if he's still like that. He doesn't hiss or growl at anybody anymore. But he is my little cuddle muffin. I will pick him up, and he will just shove his face into my face and rub all over my face, and he'll go into the baby position. He'll go on his back in my arms. He'll close his eyes. He'll purr. He and I just have this connection that I used to have, I guess, with my orange cat in that way, that I've just could never deny. He and I are like best friends. I love that cat to death. He is my best cat friend in the world. And luckily, he's still very young, and I will have him for many years to come. But I adore him. He is my best friend, and I love him to death. So that's me and my cats. So thank you for that, Bradley. Plamina, my littlest fan, asks about 11 questions. I will pick and choose some of them and ignore the rest because, holy crap, Plamena, you asked me a bajillion questions. So, how many cats do I have? 3. When is my birthday? May 2nd. What hobby do you have that does not include YouTube? One of my biggest hobbies is playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends every Thursday night. I can't wait. We're playing tonight. I love to hang out with my friends. I love hanging out with my family as well. Me and my brother and my sister are basically as close as best friends. We are very lucky that we get along as well as we do. So seeing them whenever I have the chance is welcome. And of course, hanging out and going out with Carrie whenever I have the opportunity to. What's my favorite brand and flavor of iced tea? Well, I'm a huge Snapple fan, and I would say Snapple Peach is one of my favorites, as well as Arizona Green Tea. Those are some of my good ones. What is my favorite color, and can you guess mine? What's my favorite color? Blue, and can I guess yours is pink? I got that one pretty simple. And will I be doing any more Darkwood? Yes, when Alpha 2 comes out, not before then. So we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. All right, this one is going to be kind of a longer one. So Met, and I believe that's how you say it, Met. Ed, what advice do you have about being a YouTuber? She says I talked about it before, but she'd like a little bit more in-depth, like kind of a discussion about it. And I mean, it's really tough because a lot of people ask, and I get this all the damn time, and so does Northern Line and everybody. A lot of people are asking, like, what's the one surefire way? What's the trick? What's the hint? What's the secret to becoming big on YouTube? And, you know, this question gets asked so many times, but one of the things that people don't quite understand is that there isn't a secret. There isn't a secret. I mean, for gaming in particular, because that's really all I know, just do it. That's the best advice I can give you. Just do it, because with a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work, it'll eventually pay off. And I'm not saying pay off as in you'll become E-famous and you'll make a ton of money and you'll be swimming in your own little vault of liquid cash. But you'll find an audience, whether the audience is 10 people or 100 people. You'll eventually find an audience. The best thing that I can say is just keep on working at it and have fun. That's the other thing too. If you're not having fun doing YouTube, then you're doing it wrong. It might not be for you or whatever, because YouTube is about having fun. I mean, I will swear up and down that this is a job. Every single day, doing what I do for as long as I do is hard work, and it is a job. But there is still not a moment that I say that this isn't fun, because I adore what I do. So my advice would be just do it. Just make videos. Just work hard, because the longer you do it, the better you get. I mean, if you look, I unlocked my channel. If you go to my old Matt the StarCraft channel, listen to my videos then and listen to how boring I sounded and how bad I sounded. Over time, I got better, and there wasn't a secret, or there wasn't a hint, or there wasn't like this oh my god moment where suddenly I unlocked how to speak and how to communicate and commentate over video games or videos. It just happened over time. So if you're having fun doing it, keep doing it. And the longer you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And maybe over time, slowly start to upgrade your equipment. Maybe save up for something like a better camera if you're doing something like a do-it-yourself or a crafting channel like Met says she does. You know, save up for a better camera. Eventually, over time, you'll learn to fill in the awkward silences with more speech. You maybe get a better microphone over time. And just keep on keeping on. And don't get discouraged if you aren't growing, because, again, you'll eventually find your audience that likes what you do and cherishes your content. Again, whether it's 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, you're still entertaining somebody. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So if you have any more particular questions about you being a YouTuber, Met, feel free to email me again at that same email, and I will type out a response that's a little bit more eloquent than being, you know, the 20th question in so far, and my brain is already pretty scattered. Okay, I'm going to butcher this name, and I apologize, because this is an awesome name. It looks cool, but I don't know how to say it. Nienke asks, will I ever come to the Netherlands, more particularly Amsterdam? I only have recently started to begun traveling, the first one being to Seattle, which was the other side of the country for me. Very, very cool, and I'd love to start traveling the world. I would say it's not out of the question. I would just need a reason to go there. If there was, like, if I was someone like fucking like PewDiePie or Markiplier, I could easily be like, hey, I'm coming to the Netherlands for like a weekend. I want to do a fan meet and greet, fan meetup, and all this stuff. That would be cool. But if I'm not that big, A. B, there's no cons or anything there, at least not right now. But if there is a reason to go to Amsterdam in the Netherlands, then yes, I would absolutely, in a heartbeat, travel. I almost went to Hawaii with a 2-week notice because there was a con there, but I didn't have the money or really the time to go to Hawaii on a 2-week notice. But yes, I would say yes, I would absolutely do it if I had a reason to go. So just give me a reason and I'll be there. Peter, he asks, do I have a favorite gaming website? And do I have any good recommendation for co-op games for 12-year-olds? Because I guess his 12-year-old or his cousin or something has been playing games. Do I have a favorite gaming website? Not particularly. I actually avoid gaming websites for the most part, especially when it comes to doing first impressions of games, because I don't want anything to really taint my opinion of a game. If I make a video and say I hate the game and then I find out later that everybody else loved the game, well, that's fine. That's my opinion. But if I go and read a bunch of websites and everybody's like, I love the game, I love it, this is the reasons I love it, it's hard to go into a game for first impressions and not look at the things everybody loves while ignoring all the things that I hate. Because you're going to have that biased view, whether you know it or not, it's going to happen. So I try to go in without reading anything, play a game, and then have a more, I don't want to say unbiased, but a more natural opinion of things, and a less tainted view of the game itself. So, and do I have any good co-op games for 12-year-olds? Yes, any fucking Lego game out there. I love the Lego games, and I'm 28 years old. Lego Marvel is an amazing one right now if you love superheroes. It was super, super good. Lego Star Wars are easy recommendations. Lego The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and all that good stuff. There are so many good Lego games out there, and they're not kiddie. I mean, they're kid-friendly, but they're so fun, and there's humor in there for adults that kids will never get. It is awesome. Please, yes, do it. I love it. Beautiful. Brady asks, what's my recording setup? Well, I did talk about my audio one, but I'll go over it real quick one more time. I got the Samson C01U studio condenser mic. I use Audacity for my vocals, Fraps for video and in-game audio. I do have a, what do you call it? A pop filter. There you go. And I have a decent PC, which I did talk about prior. That's about it. It's really all you need. For editing software, I do use Photoshop for thumbnails. I use the Creative Cloud, so I pay monthly for that stuff. I use Sony Vegas Pro for video editing. So that's about it. That's what I use. But a lot of people prefer Adobe Premiere for video editing, which I might be converting to sooner rather than later. Samantha wants to know more about my fiance and my cats. Well, I think I actually answered those questions pretty in depth, so I'm going to let that one go. Sorry, Samantha. You learned a little bit about it already. Mario wants to know, do I approach the developers about their games, or do they approach me, or however it works? Honestly, it's a good mix of both. I get emails every single day, loads and loads and loads of emails for games that I've never heard of, and there are just so many of them, and I don't really have the opportunity to check them all out. But if there's a game I definitely want to check out and I don't have, I will email the developer and say, hey, can you hook me up with a preview code? I want to take a look at your game and make a video, blah, 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 blah. So it's a little bit of both, honestly, and it works out pretty well so far. Kill Bill wants to ask, how did you keep motivated to make videos when you were a smaller YouTuber? A lot of the times I didn't, honestly. There were times where I had a week or a month or 2 months where I didn't make any videos because I just wasn't motivated. And I understand the lack of motivation. It happens to the best of us. But if you're not motivated, you're not having fun, it's becoming a chore for you, take a break, man. I took breaks all the time when I was growing. I took months off at one point because I wasn't feeling it. So I would suggest just step away, take a breather, and then come back to it when you feel that sense of, that spark, that sense of that feeling, that need to create. And until that comes back, take a breather. No reason, there's no reason not to. I mean, I remember when I had 225 subscribers or 226 or whatever it was, and I felt no need to create, so I didn't for months. And then I eventually came back, and obviously here I am today. So you never know. Alex would like to know, how long will I continue to record Project Zomboid? Well, as you know, I'm taking a break from it right now because I'm a bit burnt out on the game. I've played it pretty heavily for the past couple of years. But I will always record it as long as I feel like there's something new and exciting to record. So if there's when NPCs come back or vehicles come in or something new, I will record it because those things add a layer to the game that make it fun again for me. So until I think I have the full release version in my hands and I've played the hell out of the full release version, I will continue to play and record Project Zomboid. And the final question for today is from King. And King would like to know, will I ever do face cam? I will never make face cam a regular thing on my channel. It's just not who I am. But there are going to be exceptions. For instance, when I get my Oculus Rift, I will have face cam. When I get Alien Isolation for horror, I will probably do face cam because horror games and face cam, a lot of the connection is watching the other player get scared. But will I have face cam for anything else like The Sims, for The Escapists, or whatever the hell I'm playing at the moment? Chances are the answer is going to be no. Wow, 45 minutes of answering questions. You guys are crazy. I might split this into 2 videos. Sorry, I took a drink there. I don't know yet. We'll see. This might just be one long video, but thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this little sneak peek, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye. You're beautiful.